I think I like myself more these days. And the one thing that I have found, and what you mentioned, I have much more patience than I ever thought I would ever have. And you know, the ability to bite your tongue, or to hear through to the end of what's being said instead of no, that, you know, it's that's, I like myself better because I have more of a capacity than I thought that I was going to have. I think the one area that I do struggle with, I suppose, and it's because it's so different to what I knew, and that's social media. And it's not something I obviously grew up with, but I look at Hannah, and whilst you know, I'm sure that Facebook and Instagram and all of these things can be wonderful, I see a real negative in them, but you've got to be really careful as to the restrictions that you impose, because it's the way that our young people these days interact. You know? And if you sort of come down hard in some areas, then you're doing a disservice, because you're almost retarding their social ability to interact with their friends. Yeah. But I'll give you a quick example. My wife was driving the car the other day and looked in the rear vision mirror, and Hannah's sitting at the back and has got her head buried in her mobile, you know, which I don't like. I see it too much, but she's on the mobile, and my wife said, Hannah, I read a report in the paper the other day that your generation of youth are all going to have neck problems because of the very thing you're doing now. And Hannah's reaction was to go like that. So that's the mentality that we're dealing with. But I do struggle with that side of things, that constantly, you know, the phone is around and into those kinds. Again, we keep a very close eye on it, you know, and certainly make sure that she understands that once you put something out there, you can't pull it back. It's out there for good, and you can't always be certain that who you think you're talking to, you actually are. So, you know, I think she's well aware of the dangers of those. But it's something that, as a parent, I've had to come to terms with, because I'm not a big fan of social media, but that's the way the world is, and certainly for young people, it's almost the centre of their universe. And it worries me that I'm a big reader, and I don't want Hannah to miss out on the smell of the pages of a book and how important they are to your education and those kind of things, because everything now is electronic. You know, books are electronic, and Hannah goes to a school where she doesn't necessarily take textbooks. They do everything on iPads and those kind of things. So, you know, I don't want to be a dinosaur, because you can't be a dinosaur. But I remember the box brownie, and I remember when you paid cash for things instead of, you know, a plastic card. But also, I want Hannah to appreciate, you know, some of those things that were important to me growing up, and not lose sight of their importance, although they may not be a staple part of her everyday life. You know, and books, I think, are really important, and I wanted to be a reader, and that's a bit of a struggle to get that to take precedence over other things.